All right. You want to kick us off with a question?
Sure.
What do we got?
What's better for prep, white rice or potatoes?
I mean, I don't think there's obviously a clear-cut answer, right? I think number one, it depends who it is. And also too, like the quantity, right? Like if we're it's a bigger guy and like say it's a high day and we're trying to get like 100 carbs in a meal, you might not want to sit there and freaking eat, 500, 600 grams of potato, you know what I mean? Like 2 pounds of potatoes, but rice obviously is, denser and we can get, more carbs and less volume. So, but if it's like deeper in prep and, you know, food's scarce, carbs are lower, maybe it's potato where you feel like you're eating, more of a voluminous, portion and such like that. So, but I don't think one's better than the other. Some people might not digest potato or rice or the other, so I think it really just depends on where you're at and like what phase. Um, if you need more volume or not, so if you feel more satiated or full, and what you digest better.
Yeah, that's well said. I will say I do program rice more frequently than potatoes. So sometimes potatoes can cause a little deep GI distress if you overdo them. But agreed to Steve's sentiment. If I have somebody with like a really high appetite, I'll throw potatoes in there, maybe once a day at least, just because it's the highest volume carb that you could get pretty much.
Yep, for
Best
sure.
oral to use in the off season to put on size on weak body parts.
Um, so again, I think kind of with the food question, same thing with like an oral. It just depends who it is, right? Some people might not be able to take any form of an oral in terms of like a size one, like Anadrol or D-ball, and then be able to eat. And I would say we're going to want a client to be able to prioritize their food and their meals and the calories first before an oral. So like if the oral is completely suppressing your appetite and you're like eating half your food, I would say the oral is not worth it at that point, right? Because
Mhm.
it's going to put water on and all that. And sure, it might spike your blood pressure, but if you can't eat, you're not going to grow, regardless of the drug in play. So, with that said, right, and that's like 1A, 1B to that is I would say Anadrol to answer that question very clear cut. I would probably use maybe 25 milligrams to start, maybe 50 at the top, right? Maybe we kickstart a cycle like 4 to 6 weeks and put that in. And I think that would be a really good Kickstarter to um, get somebody's, initially out of the gate on a cycle.
Yeah, I agree.
What
Or
would
some
what would
good,
you use Anadrol wise though, like milligram wise? What would you use?
yeah, 25 or 50. I wouldn't never go above that. What's up, Lou? What's up, Kayla?
What's up,
Yeah,
guys?
I wouldn't go above that. It would be pretty short-lived. I mean, I've used Anadrol to peak people as well. I mean, I've shifted gears more so to Superdrol if I need to push fullness, but Anadrol for somebody who's not water retentive is a good tool in prep as well.
Sam said she was drinking the red one. Shit is
I
so good. These got to be like a prep lifesaver, dude. These things are great.
don't really drink them in prep. What are some ways to help with digestion and bloating? So I've taken a big uh, effort to improve that for myself this off season, which I've done a good job of. My food was upwards of 6,500 calories, and I had a solid appetite, and I cleared my food pretty quickly. So, what I've implemented pretty basic stuff, but upon waking, I do a little bit of zinc carnosine, which is good for the lining of the gut and like healing the gut inflammation. Parallel to that, I do uh, prebiotic fiber, PHGG, partially hydrolyzed margum. It's good for your gut bacteria, your colon bacteria. I do psyllium husk fiber, which, insoluble fiber. And, with some of my bigger meals, I'll do the betaine with pepsin, potentially a digestive enzyme. And a big one is ginger root extract. That one slept on a lot. I'll do any of those three up to 3 times a day with some of my bigger meals. But those are like supplements you can throw at it. Beyond that, Digestion walks are a good way. And, for you, identifying what foods, if any, specifically seem to bloat you, or if it's more of like a volume thing at the end of the day. So those are all pretty good strategies to help manage your digestion.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think too, like a lot of individuals can split digestion into, hey, what supplements can we throw at your gut? Like you said too, like a bunch of the ones like you've incorporated yourself that have really helped. And then also too, focusing on, hey, is the digestive issues I'm having because of some of the foods I'm eating? You know what I mean? Like maybe I just simply, need to change up some of the foods I'm eating. Maybe this carb is bloating me. Maybe it's this protein source, right? Like me and you have talked about chicken, right? And like I eat like more. Well, you eat really a lot of ground turkey, right? And like I eat a lot of
Yeah.
cod now because chicken like was just like bloating me, and I'm burping it up. It's like clearly the body's giving you that response where it's like, hey, I'm not digesting this well enough. But instead of me throwing supplements at that, I figured, okay, maybe it's just the food source and it fixed itself. Like you said, whereas you on the flip side too, it could be that plus you throw some supplements in, right? Like you said, the zinc carnosine, um, the ginger root, I know you're big on now, right? Um, there's obviously apple cider vinegar, glutamine, also too, I
Yeah, I
think a
do. I do
big,
glutamine as well. I do 20 grams a day
yep.
fasted.
And also too, man, I think a lot of people underestimate how little water they're probably drinking and how
Yeah.
important it is if they just increase their water, how simple that would be to improve their digestion. You know what I mean? So I think like that's like something that I would just even tell somebody like, hey, how much water are you drinking? Oh, 2 liters a day, up at the four, and I bet you're gonna have some improvement in digestion before you got to figure it out. Like for you, dude, you're eating so much freaking food to be a professional bodybuilder. It's like you're drinking enough water already. So it's like these supplements are like cheers. um, these supplements are a necessity for you because you have everything else on point. I think so many people just go and they're like, I need probiotics and prebiotics when they just need to simply drink more water or stop eating like shit. You know what I
Yeah, that's
mean?
like the biggest one.
Yeah. Yeah, your guy, he said, I feel I piss like every other minute, it feels like. Means you're drinking enough water.
You gotta get your PSA checked on your next labs, dude. How much below the weight cap do you like your athletes to be before trying to fill out? I mean,
Oh,
it's a tough question because if I have somebody, plus 5 pounds the weight cap and I'm going into peak week, it still doesn't really scare me because you got to figure water manipulation at the end of the day. I mean, when you have somebody water load and they're flushing like a motherfucker, and then all of a sudden you pull their water and give them a fourth of a diazide, next thing you know, they're like going to bed at night and they're dropping 8, 10 pounds. So, um,
yep.
it's not really, if you have a good coach, it's really not a big challenge. I've had people wake up over their cap on show day and we still make weight because it's like very little things that we have to do to manipulate that weight to drop a couple of pounds of water.
100%. I think too, a lot of people underestimate when your coach actually gets you in real shape, right? And even if you wake up the day before and you have to weigh in that day, say, and check in, more than likely when you're in shape, the way we're drying you out a day out, you're going to lose weight the day before, regardless.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people think like when we like the carb loading just means they're going to gain a bunch of weight. But when you're in true shape, dude, and like you're getting loaded the day before, you most times like we know that you people lose weight, especially like once we start manipulating them. If there's any diuretic usage, water, sodium, it's usually not a true concern. But I mean, obviously, if Matt or I know like you have a cap of example 200 pounds, we're not gonna have you at fucking 205 the day before. We're gonna make sure we do what we have to do to get you maybe a pound or two of that or at the cap at least into peak week so we can peak you how we like to do. So you're showing up fresh and dry and full. You know what I mean? So you know, like I said, I wouldn't be too concerned with like being a pound or two over your cap a day out, especially if your coach knows what the fuck they're doing and you're in shape. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. 100%.
You'll be completely fine. Who was just over their cap and you got him down? Like,
Austin.
what was it? Austin? Was he
Yeah, I mean, he woke up over his cat for
right?
classic, but I mean, I had fed him all week and he was hitting new lows. That last
I
day I
know,
fed him, I blasted him
I know.
and
Yeah,
he woke up and he had gained weight, right? So I was like, all right, he's not spilled, but he's full as fuck. So I just basically gave him his weigh-in was 2 p.m. and all I gave him was 2 meals of like 60 grams of steak and a little bit of grass-fed butter to hold him over. I gave him like, I don't know, maybe 16 ounces of water and he just kept flushing and he made weight easily. He
it's
was
crazy.
2.5 pounds over when he woke up, and he was 2.5 pounds under by the time weigh-ins was. And he was the perfect thing is like he held his fullness, so it's not like he didn't sacrifice his look at all. I mean, he got fucking fourth place and
He got better. He got
oh
better.
yeah, he got
He
better,
got,
yeah.
got better. Yeah,
So
and like that's a perfect example. I was just saying, dude, like 2 minutes ago, right? It's like again, somebody in true shape that you know how to peak, you're peaking, who woke up 2 pounds over the cap and ended up 2 pounds under the cap, what, 8 hours later, because of how you were peaking them and you were flushing them and getting them drier. And it is pretty sick when somebody's ready to be peaked, like it's pretty sick what happens 24 to 48 hours before a show. It's like actually ridiculous. It's
100%.
insane.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's all basic stuff too. It's like minor manipulations. We're not doing any fucking magic, you know. JC
but the
popped in. What's
magic,
up, man? He's got the blue check now.
what's
He's
up, dude?
official.
How are you? Um, the all the magic happens in a coach getting somebody in shape. You know what I mean? What's
I
the
mean, I
saying?
would
I want to say
disagree with
here.
that because a lot of people fuck peaks up.
Oh well, I mean, there's no debate that I have a question about peak week too. But I'll save it. But um, it kind of relates into that.
So just jump into it. Wait, Sam said
Okay,
something. Be
so
honest, though, most regionals are not in true condition and under they would be under their cap if they got
it's
in
a
true.
fair
Yeah,
point
that's
too.
true.
That's a very fair point. Most people are like thinking they're struggling to be at their cap, and they're really like 15 pounds away from being in
Yeah.
true
Yeah, oh,
shape.
yeah, that's a lot of people. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Um, the question I had about peak week was, do you guys see too many coaches nowadays trying to push somebody harder and harder through a peak week? And do you think that makes their look suffer the day of the show?
Wait, the question is, do we push people during peak week?
Do we see a lot of says, do you guys see a
Oh,
lot of
oh,
coaches
oh,
nowadays thinking they have to continue to push an athlete through peak week harder and harder? And do you think that makes their look suffer on stage?
yeah, I see it quite a bit, and yes, of course, it's going to make the look suffer. It's very rare. I have had two instances where just for whatever reason, these two athletes look best when they're dug into the dirt, right? Like I give them a little bit of food and they're full. Like not a lot of food and they're full. So I've had instances where I'm not digging, but I have people doing, enough activity to burn fat up until about 3 days out. And then
Right.
two and 1 days out, it's all about just completely letting them relax. But those are like fringe minorities. These are people who are like really challenging to get in shape and are very sensitive to food. So these are, the fringe minorities, but I do see it quite often and very often when it probably shouldn't be the case.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Brandon's a perfect example of that. Like 3 days out, he's still doing 45 minutes of cardio. You know what I mean?
Right, and nobody can say Brandon's fucking look ever suffers at all. Dude's bang on every time he competes. He's doing
yep.
Chicago
Yeah.
this weekend, so good luck.
Yeah. He actually just landed. Did I tell you he called me and asked to have a shot before he got on the plane?
Yeah, I
Well,
mean, help him flush a little bit on the plane.
yeah, he told me, he texted me, he's like, yo, Steve, can I have a shot of Fireball before I get on the plane? So I was like, what are you nervous? Like, I didn't know if he didn't like to fly or what, you know? And he was like, nah, dude, I'm in shape. It's my pro debut. Me and my wife just want to have a shot at it. I'm like, go for it,
Yeah,
dude.
fuck yeah.
Go for it.
Bacon
I
boy,
said, as long,
Sam, not butter boy.
oh, butter, yeah, bacon boy. He's had he's having quite a bit of bacon today.
Good.
He's 180 grams of fat today.
Jesus Christ, bro.
Low
That's a lot
protein
of
though. He's
bacon.
out on like 130 grams of protein.
I mean, just how this guy's scooping butter out of the tub and fucking eating it.
It's a lot of butter, bacon, beef. I have beef in four of his meals.
Mm.
4 of 6 is meal. I mean, for Universe we used about 140 grams, and we talked, and he wanted to push the fats to see if we could get him even fuller, and he said he's like I want to use a little bit more Diazine and stuff, and he won't care I'm sharing it, but I said all right, dude, say less because like there's no pressure on us this weekend, it's just like it's just dry the fuck out and see if we can get him. I don't know how to get him fuller. I don't know if that's possible, but we said we'll see. So it's
You,
40
you
grams
gotta
of
you
fat.
gotta have them go to Wendy's and order the Baconator with no bun.
Just a beef patty, grease, sodium, and bacon. It's not a bad idea, actually.
Not a bad idea.
That's really actually a great idea. It's actually a really good idea. I don't know if him knowing how well we figured his body out, if he would be mentally okay to do that, though.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I told him
You
to, he
you yeah,
would.
if you should do it between prejudge and night if there's no negative impact.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he told me he's like, I want to try to push more fats, and I'm like, listen, dude, you're obviously on no carbs, of course, yesterday, today, tomorrow, it's all fats. So I said, sure, let's push it. So we put his fats up from 140 to 180 from Universe, and I lowered his protein from 185 to 140. I said, I'm going to compensate somewhere for your gut. But dude, he digests the fat so well, like he has no GI distress.
Yeah, no, he's never got any dissension or anything. So,
You just see this big ass motherfucker on a plane just eating a stick of butter. Like
God, that'll be a sight. John's in here. What's up, John?
Hey John, did you like my video I tagged you in? I tagged you and Sam in it too. Did you see it yet? It was a like 2 minute video of some lady with a chalkboard about Diet Coke uh lesson. And I tagged him and I told him he needs to learn something.
Yeah,
That's so rude. I don't know how this kid likes Pepsi. It's like ridiculous. It sucks.
that's wild.
It is complete trash. Anyway, next question, because I don't want to. Nah, dude. Fuck.
How do you keep athletes patient during long improvement phases?
Say it again. How do we what?
Keep athletes patient during long improvement phases.
It's a good question. So I think there's like client A and client B, right? And you tell me if uh
I already know
you
where this is
agree.
going, and I agree.
Yeah, client A doesn't give a shit, right? They don't care because they're like, I need to grow. I know it's going to take 2 years, and they have that long term vision in mind. And those client and that we don't have to remind them of anything. You know what I mean? Client B, on the other hand, is somebody who's, hey Matt, can you coach me? I want to do a show in 14 weeks. No, or where you at? I don't know anything about your body. Or hey, it's been 10 weeks. Are we getting into prep? No, we still don't know your body. We still haven't set you up for a prep. We don't have blood work, any of that. When it
Hey, can we
comes to
change my diet? I'm really tired of this meal.
right, right. So I think when it comes to something like that, that's where like that reiteration of, hey, listen, this is what a long-term approach looks like to be able to get better if you want to actually be competitive when we get you on stage for the first time, or if this is your second show or 10th show, whatever. So I think at that point, it's a lot of reminder to them and a lot of reiteration of, hey, listen, slow progress is sometimes better because you can't rush it. Just trust the process. If you're trying to be competitive, understand that this is going to take us time to get there. And I think that client B usually is the ones where, number one, like I said already, they need a ton of reminders, or two, they just never end up making it to a show.
Yeah,
Um,
agreed.
because we both know, dude, real bodybuilding, whether it's a male or a female, it takes time. It takes a lot of time. Um, unless you have some freak, then it is what
Yeah,
it is. But what would you say about all that?
I agree. There's really not much more to add. What separates first call-outs from everyone else at national level? If I had to say one thing, it's conditioning.
100%. Yeah, conditioning, I would say, is number one. I think now that you and I are pumping out a lot of like top quality national level physiques, I really do think that like presentation and confidence goes a long way too. Now that like
Yeah,
we're seeing
agreed.
it more in person. Because like if you're nervous and you're shaking and your posing sucks, they're gonna see it. And I think I think also too, posing is a huge separating factor,
Hmm.
as well, for sure. But yeah, I think conditioning, like if you're in shape and you're 15 pounds smaller than somebody, you're probably going to be in the first call out because you're peeled. Whether you
Yeah, if the
got
rest of the guys are not, I agree. Yeah.
right, right. So I agree with you. I think conditioning is that top separating factor. And I mean, people with like shitty structures are beating people with better structures if they're just peeled, at
Yeah, I
times.
think
So
the other thing is like you got to be pretty balanced. You can't have like one severely lacking body part because that's going to get exposed at nationals.
100%. 100%.
All right. When do you know when is a good spot to throw PEDs in a female's off season slash prep?
I'll let you answer first.
So I guess it really depends on the maturity level of the athlete, right? If this is somebody just getting started, it's not obviously a good decision to just jump into PED use because who knows if they're going to even like this long term. However, if you do have somebody who is committed and dedicated and they've made a lot of progress with you over time, and they're like, look, I'm in this, I want to do what it takes. Realistically, if it's Steve or I, we're likely going to be starting with like 5 milligrams of Anavar. Like this is not something that like, and we're going to run it for 6 to 8 weeks with the girl, right? This is not something that's going to cause like any type of real damage to your body at all. We have to remember these drugs, so Anavar specifically was invented for medical purposes, right?
Yeah,
And 5 milligrams is like effectively the lowest dose you could get. I mean, I've heard of like 2.5 milligram pills, but like, what is that really even going to do? Um, so that's kind of like when you're going to do it, it's really a matter of the comfortability of the client. It's not something Steve or I would ever push on anybody. But if we have an athlete who's like, look, my goal is to turn pro, I'm willing to do what it takes, this and that. Obviously, PEDs are going to be in the equation, and you start at the lowest possible, lightest compound you possibly can, and kind of go from there.
absolutely. Yeah, I think especially with females, you can really get away using a lot less and get a lot more out of it. Um, Especially like when obviously everything else is dialed in, like their food and their training and whatnot. But like Matt said, 5 milligrams of Anavar, when done right and put into an anabolic environment with your food and your recovery and your training, can really go a long way over a 6 to 8 week span. Like, do I think a female, especially like if it's their first time using it, could put like a good 1 to 2 pounds on? I do. You know what I mean? And like, especially if they're in a surplus, dude, and consistent and recovering well and sleeping enough. And like, I don't think a lot of people understand like what 1 pound of true muscle, like that can make a big fucking difference. Also, I don't
Yeah, and it
know who the
also just
fuck
makes you a
this
lot. It makes you a
is
lot
in the
harder.
comments,
And
but the fuck,
Steven, you're
dude.
so cute, Daddy. Phil. Well, um, you don't know
Yo,
this
don't
fella?
con I don't know who the fuck that is. The fuck?
Um,
The
Yeah, so I,
fuck?
I agree, and it's gonna make you a lot harder too at the end of the day, the Anavar. But John also asked, would GH be a better substitution? I mean, they're separate things. One's an anabolic, one's not.
Right.
GH is absolutely something you can run with female competitors at a low dose
I
for sure.
100%. I think 1 to 2 units again with the female will go
Mm,
such a
yeah, for
fucking
sure.
long way.
Dude, like old people, like rich old people, take 2 units of growth for the anti-aging and like connective tissue repair perspectives of it. Like you know, it's a good compound.
Bro, who the fuck is this guy?
I don't know. Let him admire. It's okay.
It's all good.
Yeah, what's our next question? Hmm, we have one more to introduce Matt Seta, but we'll introduce him when we do it together. For those that aren't aware, I brought a coach on my team, Matt, and he's managing a lot of the lifestyle demand coming forward. But anyway,
Phil, he's married.
I might turn him on. Be
Phil's
careful.
so fucking funny, bro. Is that all you had?
Yeah, that's all I had. Yeah.
They were good. They were actually good questions. All right. Um, all right. Um, First question I had was two different cycle scenarios. So, would you rather be able to do a gram of test and 10 units of growth for the rest of your life, or have 2 units of growth, 500 tests, but add one other compound in?
Uh, well, man, loaded question. I'm going gram test and growth.
I would agree.
I respond well on high tests. So I haven't touched a gram test in mad long, mad fucking long. But
You're tempted now though.
yeah, totally, dude. I'm not far off from it right now, to be honest. But yeah, no, I would totally take the test and growth. I know that probably goes against the grain for a lot of people. They'd be like, "Oh no, let me do the 500
It's
test and
true.
like 300 MPP or whatever." But
But right, I think for many, right, who think like steroids first, they would say that. However, I think in the last 5 years or so, some of the craziest off seasons you've seen when obviously someone's sleep and their food and everything is consistent, the biggest thing that usually I would say 8 times out of 10 they say is they pushed their test and they finally started to push their growth and it made such
yeah,
a big difference.
exactly.
And it's
Yeah,
made such a
dude.
big
I mean,
difference.
they do realistically. I mean, that's a pretty fucking solid dose of both of those, you know.
Yeah, it's good. If you like, you never hear people say, "Oh, I put my MPP from 200 to 500, and that made the biggest difference." It's always, I started to push my test from like 600 to 750 a gram, and my growth went from like 4 or 5 units to like 8 to 10, and that made the biggest difference. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's why I would choose both of them. I think both of, and
You
also too, growth's safer than just blasting like three fucking
100%.
compounds. You
100%.
know?
Yeah. And they pretty much debunked the idea of growth increasing the size of tumors and shit. That's if
Yeah,
you just take like actual exogenous pharmaceutical IGF-1.
yeah,
That getting it out of hand and cause things like tumors to grow. So that argument kind of goes out the window. Um, but I think it goes against the grain because like so many bodybuilders now, this philosophy is low test, push other compounds, right?
yeah,
Like Jewett with the whole low test, a fucking 2 grams of Masteron. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, I don't think Masteron makes you grow that much. I'm gonna be honest, I really don't.
No,
I think
no.
EQ yields better returns. I'm not like a massive fan of it, but like on paper, it's gonna make you grow more. And I think anecdotally, in my experience, it's made me grow more as well. I think EQ's mass is good for hardening up, and that's what mass's job is. I think Primo helps with growth more than mass, especially run at the right doses. But
Yep, yep. I agree. All right, cool. If you got a competitor from another coach at 8 weeks out from a show, what are the first few things you'd have to evaluate to before making any changes?
yeah, cool. Body composition for that point in the prep, what their diet and cardio has been up to this point, what their drugs have been up to this point. And depending on what the answer to those things are, I might require lab work right out the gate. If the rest of those things are
Yep,
in pretty decent shape, I'd just be like, yo, send me your most recent labs. Then if they didn't have any recent ones, I'd be like, yo, you're getting labs. Like, we gotta see what's going on, of course.
yep,
But yeah, that and like the mental state of the athlete, like if they're in catastrophe mode, is it a conversation of, hey, look, like you've been super stressed, you've been dug into the dirt. I think you really should probably take a step back from this, focus on, bringing your metabolic rate up, getting your body back in shape, and then, worrying about a show later in the season or next year or whatever. Because we've all
yep,
had those conversations. I know from experience, we've both picked up athletes who have a shitty coach that shift gears to us mid prep. And we've had instances where we finished out the prep, and we've had instances where we pulled the athlete from the prep.
yep,
So
yep.
yeah, just speaking from experience there.
Yeah. So I think obviously I completely agree with everything you said. Um, I think the mindset of the individual, right, is like you said, going to be critical, especially at number one, because it's like when did they start the prep? Okay, maybe they've been dug into the dirt for that last 10 weeks, and they're at the point where they're just like, yo, I'm ready for this shit to be done. And they're not going to be on pace in 6 weeks to be in shape, right? Um, you know, I think the blood work thing you brought up too, man, is like important, right? Like obviously it's why you brought it up. I especially think from a thyroid standpoint, because
Oh yeah,
how many
huge.
times, dude, is there somebody who's like talking to you and they're like, hey, I'm 6 weeks out, I'm 5 weeks out. and they're not on T3 or T4, but they're eating fucking 1,100 calories and they're doing an hour of cardio. It's like, okay, no wonder you're not in shape. Your thyroid's fucking
Yeah.
tanked, and like it's not coming back for a bit. So it's like, even if we put T3 and T4 in, sure, it's going to have to be a little bit higher than like a physiological dose, but it's like, at what point is it like, hey, listen, let's just pull the fuck back all the way, get the T3, T4 in there, and just start to feed you up and just like tank this prep and just get you in a healthier spot and do it the right way. So
Mm.
I think the mental side and then the blood work side, I think, are two uh, critical things. And then also too, just seeing how deep into a fucking hole they are, right? Like, you
Yeah,
know, it,
if you can't get them out, like there's no sense in trying to salvage it. You're just doing the client a disservice.
yeah,
Just tell them the
yeah. I
truth.
mean,
Like we gotta pull.
and too, dude, like the one guy, I'm not, obviously won't mention names, but like his old coach had him on what, Anadrol from October to fucking June, and
Yeah.
Tren from October to June. It's like,
Crazy.
yeah, if you come to us at 6 weeks out, you're probably not, and you're all like that, you're not doing a show most likely.
No, there's no shot.
There's
Yeah, there's
no
no shot.
fucking way, it's like, what for what, because Matt and I's goal is to get you at your best. I'm not going to put you on stage at 50%. What's the point? So,
Yep.
um, that's kind of how I would approach that for sure. I agree with you. Now let's see what else we got. What's the biggest PED mistake you see competitors making nowadays in contest prep?
In contest prep, uh,
Or you want to just do in general? I mean,
I mean, I don't know, like probably just taking too much for too long.
yeah, I was going to say duration, amount, and duration,
Yep.
um, for sure. Um, Also, too, you tell me if you agree. I think a lot of people who don't have like, whether they don't have a coach at all, or they don't have solid coaching, or they don't trust their coach, they think PEDs compensate for everything else, and I think that's a
Yeah.
huge mistake. And I think in turn it leads to what you said, and they think they need to take more and more and more, right? And if your diet's not on point, you're not consistent with your meals, you're not sleeping enough, you don't know how to train, the more you take, it ain't gonna fucking do anything. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think,
Agreed.
I think if you're trying to use more to compensate, it's not, it's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? And just leads us back to the just take test and growth. You'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, all right, let's see what else we got. Whew, got a couple more here. What Yeah, this is the same person asked this from a PD perspective. Do you think PEDs are more abused nowadays or 10 years ago? And if you say yes, what PED do you think is abused the most slash most overused?
All right. So I don't know about what is the most overused PED, but like you say, I think the scope at which PEDs are abused in terms of like amount of people is a lot more now than it was previously, but I think the level at which they were abused in terms of dosages was higher back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. Um,
Yeah.
I think, what would you say is like the most misused PD though now?
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, I guess trend still comes to mind. I just hear people running crazy dosages. Like I've
Yeah,
spoken to like regional competitors that have taken more than I've ever taken.
that's crazy. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
ridiculous.
So, yeah, it's
It's like for
nuts.
what? You know what I mean?
For a fucking
Yeah,
plastic trophy at a regional show.
I would agree. I think yeah, I think Trent is definitely one of them. I think too, like when you tell somebody, hey, you're gonna do like 10 milligrams of Tren a day, they're like, what the fuck do you mean? You know what I mean? Like that's nothing. And
Yeah.
again,
Mhm.
again, I think we're both obviously under what people don't realize is like we're both under the coaching conception that you want to get the most out of the least amount you can use. Sure, there's times where you push, right? Like we already said, but get the most out of the least. And also too, um, like what Sam said here, blood work was not that important back in the day. Like
No, no, no.
she's completely right. And that's a great point because 10 years ago, blood work was like a once a year type thing.
Hmm. Yeah, I give
Now I
my
think it's,
coach credit. It's I give my coach credit back in 2013 when I started taking gear. And like I stopped when I was like 20, I did it for like a year or two, but obviously got back into it. But he made sure I did labs back then, when I started PEDs. Good dude. Chris Hapcost, remember that dude?
yeah. Oh my God, dude. He was like all over the forums on Facebook.
Yeah.
Um, that was
No, he's
awesome.
just a gym owner.
God
Well,
damn.
I don't mean just a gym owner. Like I don't think he coaches at all, but he owns a
Yeah.
gym in Colorado.
Yeah. What a blast from the past, bro. Oh my
Mm.
God. Um, how do you guys determine how much food goes into a refeed day?
I mean, we'll generally have a sense with the athlete when we're going into a refeed because, we'll have a baseline whenever we add it, right? And it's going to be at least, a decent amount of food. If that person gains a bunch of weight, it's like, all right, I have a baseline that this person needs, I don't know, 200 extra carbs or 300 extra carbs for their weight to go up a bit. That's good, right? There might be instances where I like cut that in half and I give them small refeeds to see what it does and, kind of manage them that way. But, it's really not that hard to figure out once you're working with somebody. I don't know. I
Right.
feel like that's one of the arts of coaching. There's no formula to that at all.
No. And I think obviously like when it comes to like the first time we want to refeed somebody, it's like anything else with coaching, our eyes and trial and error, right? So say like, I don't know, say like you're down to 300 carbs on your training days and you're 10 weeks out and it's time for that first refeed and you check in on Friday. It's like, all right, listen, tomorrow we're going to plan this refeed, this high day. We're at 300 carbs and 50 grams of fat. And maybe I'll throw an extra 25, 30 grams of fat in there and another 150 carbs. And I'll have you check in on Sunday morning. If you didn't gain any weight or you lost weight, guess what?
Do it
We're going
again.
to refeed again and put a little bit more food in. But now we have that data trending to kind of know that baseline. And then from there, me and you, we just take it and we kind of take our notes and we kind of roll with it. So by the time you are at 4 weeks out and you are needing, whether it's a diet break or like Matt said, more mini refeeds for 2, 3, 4 days in a row, we already know like what to do based off where your look is and where your weight's at. So again, it's all trial and error, but like I always, I know we always say, man, great coaching is about decision making and being able to kind of sub channel, sub decisions under the first decision, right? And kind of just creating like the branches off of that. So, um, it's all starts with trial and error, and then it goes with data and feedback. So,
Yep.
that was a good question.
Yep.
All right, let's see. I got two more here. All right,
Oh, feel tired.
you're, you're what, four? What are we? 13 weeks out, right?
Yeah. Day two of
All right.
prep. I'm over here tired.
They
I'm being doinks for you. Oh, please do, Louis.
oh, yeah. All right. All right. What is something that you guys look for in a client where you can tell if they're going to immediately have good success long term or if they will be more of a short term client?
What do you think?
So I've had great clients where they've missed their first check in. Their first month was hell, and they've turned into good clients because they just needed that little bit of accountability up front to turn the system on, right? I've also had individuals where after they've missed their first check in was shit, and they've turned into just not a good client, right? They've dropped off after a month, right? I think we both can say that, right? But
Hmm.
I think the individuals who start to pick up the quickest, and that could be in a month for somebody, 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever. But they start to progressively get into better habits and better, you know, checking the boxes off better and better as each week progresses. So within a month or two, they're like automatic. I think those are the best long term success stories. Um, and also too, really somebody who really comes into a coach client relationship ready to work. Like
Yeah,
they're like, hey, whatever you tell me,
definitely.
Matt, whatever's on my plan, I'm doing, and they just start hitting the boxes from day one, week one. The at the end of the day, you know, Matt and I can get somebody there, but they also have to check the boxes off that we are laying out. And if that doesn't occur, there's no way we get the right feedback. There's no way we can make the right changes, and there's no way they're going to be able to long term progress. So, um, I feel like both you and I are at the point where like you can almost tell in like the first few weeks, kind of who's really going to have a good transformation and who's not.
Mhm. Yep,
So,
totally. I
all
don't
right,
really have anything to add to that.
all right, cool. Let's add one more. All right. So do you your opinion on refeeds, why they're used, and do you feel like some coaches overuse them for satiation versus actually needing them?
I think most coaches don't use them enough.
I would agree. I
Yeah,
I think the better shape somebody gets in, the more prominent a high day is going to need to be with cutting cardio out completely, right? Drastically lowering somebody's steps and expenditure, maybe throwing a cheat meal in. Um, you know, because I think the better shape you get in, your body's just going to burn through the fuel in a more efficient way, but your metabolism is also going to benefit from it. Also, your look. So, um, I think there's like a scarce in between anymore, dude, with refeeds because I think like some quote unquote coaches have no fucking idea how to use them, right? And it's just more cardio, less food nonstop. And they think like if somebody doesn't lose a pound, it's what, 10 more minutes of cardio, less food.
yeah,
And that's how people just get wrecked long term. Or I think there's some people where like there's coaches out there that will literally give you a refeed if somebody like complains they're hungry. And it's like that's not
mhm.
how prep works. You know what I mean? There's intentional uses behind the refeeds. So but I think they are underused. And as a whole, I think they're underused.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, let me see. Let me cut this question box. Um, thoughts on injectable L-carnitine? Is it a money grab, and is there any benefit to it?
That works. It's good.
It does. It hurts like a bitch. It hurts like a bitch. But it works. I. You have any like tips to like not make that shit hurt?
I
It's
don't
just
use it because it hurts and I don't really need the help getting in shape, so I don't bother with it, but
right,
it does
right,
work.
yeah. Um, And then the last question I had in this box here was staying humble in the sport. I think
I mean,
more
that's
people need
that's
to.
that's more than a sport question. That's a you question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty just easy to realize that nobody likes somebody with an ego, realistically. Nobody. So why the
No.
fuck would you act that way?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of that in the sport, I feel, right? In a negative way. And I don't think long term people like that last because less people gravitate towards that. More people are going to gravitate towards the person who's always respectful, always says hello, always answers their questions, always is polite and humble back to them. It doesn't just act like a complete know-it-all all the time, So, um, yeah, I think more people need to learn how to be like that, but
Yeah, there's a lot of that shit in the industry. It's pretty crazy.
it's insane, dude. And I feel like it's never been worse.
That's because social media, unfortunately, people
Yeah,
think it's like,
exactly.
oh, I got like 50,000 followers. Like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
People go
So
on so much. It's like I built a career on 3,000 followers. Like, I have to support my family with 3,000 followers. You ain't give a fuck if you have 50,000. I've done what I want to do. I'm happy. If your goal is to get 50,000 followers, good for you. You don't need to be cocky about it.
exactly. I agree.
You know,
Oh,
I could gloat
they
about
were all
all
the
the things that
questions
I
I
have
had.
and have accomplished and fucking try and rub it in people's faces, but I wouldn't because I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah, they're like I said, man, there's so much for the amount of good people in the fitness industry and the bodybuilding space who are actually humble and welcoming. There's like I feel like for every one, there's like three who like walk around like they're like the best. And
Hmm.
like I said, I think it catches on quickly nowadays because social media, a lot of people can pick up on bullshit. Um, and I wish that there was more humility in the industry. If I could have one wish for the bodybuilding space and fitness space as a whole, it would be that there was more humility and more kindness to everybody because there's so much ego. It's unbelievable.
You know what? Actually, I wouldn't wish that because I think I've been able to build my business on a small following because I don't have an ego and I'm actually a nice guy and I know what I'm doing. So they can all keep fucking themselves by doing that shit. If I could have one wish is that they paid classic competitors a lot of money.
That's fair. Okay. Yeah,
Or just
that's
all the
fair.
pro athletes, I paid them like I wish they paid them actual money. Whether it's
I
winnings or
Yeah,
like salaries with supplement sponsors and shit.
yeah. It's a good wish, I think, too. I think bodybuilding do the winners and sponsors more money would definitely be a warranted thing, especially with all the shit that goes into putting your body through to get like to that and improve and then get in shape and compete and peak and all that. So and train and the beat down it puts. So I do agree with you. So more
That
money and more
muscle
humility.
that muscle Discord guy.
Yep.
I'm not really a big fan of this content because it's very like there's a lot of drama, but like he does have some good points on some things. And he pulled up this
Yep.
side by side of a cornhole competition, like professional cornhole, and first place was $10,000. And then he pulled up, I think it was a Texas
What?
Pro. Yeah. He pulled up the Texas Pro and he's like, first place is $10,000. He's like, you're going to tell me like a professional athlete can show up to a cornhole event with a beer in his hand and win 10 grand versus a bodybuilder who's dedicating their life to this. And then he went to pull up the data and he's like, when we look at the fitness and supplement industry as a whole, it's like $18 billion industry or something like that. And then he's like, there is an industry around cornhole and there's data around it. And he's like, it's only like a $620 million industry, and they're paying their professionals 10,000 for wins. He's like, you're telling me this, all these supplement companies in the world, all these gyms and equipment companies, other fitness brands, and the IFBB itself, it's like you can't find a fucking way out of this entire industry to pay professional athletes actual money. Like, and he brought up a really good point. It's like it's fucking true. It's actually really sad because it is a massive industry. Just we don't have to limit it just to bodybuilding because there are plenty of brands that are completely involved in bodybuilding that aren't specific bodybuilding brands that sponsor, different events in the IFBB. So he brought up a really good point. So
That's actually a really good point. I mean, there's a lot of money in fitness and the industry. I mean, there's big companies that are paying 150 grand, dude, for a booth at the Arnold for 2 days. Why isn't the pay higher at these shows? You know what I mean? Especially because of the risk that like, the pros are putting their body at, man. Physically, not alone. Like they're peaking, they're dehydrating, the training, right? The supplementation that goes into it. So like, why isn't bodybuilding paid more? I don't know. Why do you think it isn't? Because there's not a main spotlight on it, or
yes, I don't know. I mean, he made a point, and I'm not going to say it because I don't want to, I don't agree with it, and I also don't want to assassinate my career in the IFBB if somehow it got out. But he made a point in the video, and I mean, the top of any organization, is where the money goes, unfortunately. So like, I don't know. I have no idea how much it costs to operate the IFBB. They could be
right,
running on really small margins. Like I have no idea.
right,
But
right.
yeah, it would be nice to get
I mean,
actual pay.
I even think too, man, like some of these supplement companies are making millions and millions of dollars a year. Like if some of like the top 10 companies came together and they picked like the five top shows and like there was like $1 million prize, they definitely could afford that. You know what I mean? And like I'm not talking just open body, but I'm talking like the women's division should, classic physique is what, 40 grand at the Olympia? That's pathetic.
Yeah, it's a joke.
That
Yeah.
that's a joke. Why isn't that like $500,000? You know what I mean? Like it should be.
You're the best in the world and arguably the most competitive male division.
I agree.
Because
I mean,
realistically, the top 10 guys in open are relatively the same over and over and over again, right? It's, hard to kind of knock those guys out in classic, given the weight cap. It's like, dude, if you're one of the top 15 guys even and you're off 1%, you're getting you're getting dropped. Like you're dropping placings for fucking sure.
yeah, I think classic is has taken such a drastic positive turn, man, in the last like 3 to 5 years. The top 10 at the Olympia can literally be different every year for the next
Mhm.
decade. It's like it, and
Yeah,
like
there's
that's
just that many
exciting.
good guys. It's so exciting. There's that many good guys. Even dude, every single pro show is like insane in classic right now.
Insane. Insane, bro. I know. It's unbelievable. I mean, this is my favorite division to watch. Um
Yeah,
the,
I mean
the
everybody shows up, honestly.
everybody's in shape. They show up, they're ready to rock. But I also think classic has really good camaraderie, you know what I mean, as well. Um,
I gotta say, all
that
the
you don't
guys that I chop it up with, like backstage at shows, like everybody's
yeah, they're awesome
very
dudes.
supportive and friendly. Yeah,
Yep.
I've made a lot of friends just by shaking hands with guys at shows and shit.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a very exciting division, but I think the money amongst all the divisions because of how much work goes into regardless, like it needs to definitely be increased. I mean, I don't even what's like the bikini Olympia get? 10 grand to win the fucking thing?
Yeah,
It's like why isn't that 100 grand? You know what I mean? Like these are like people are putting like full-time working like hours into this, from their
you're the
families and
best
shit.
in the
Like
world. You're the best in the world. You should be getting paid fucking money hand over fist.
I agree. I think I get Mr. Olympia as the $1 million prize. My opinion, classic should be at least 500,000, and all the other divisions should be at least like 150 to 200 grand to be the best in the world. I think that's fair. It's like a full time job salary. You know what I mean? Like a top
Yeah.
end salary.
No.
And dude, it's a lot. I mean, we know it's a fucking ton of
It's
money
going
just to
up. At
compete.
least it's going up. It's
It
going
is
up. So
going up.
that's good.
Yeah.
It's slowly but surely going up. It's just realistically, if I go in a classic show and I get paid 3 grand, cool. You paid for my trip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you went a pro show.
Well, that's really